We'll get back to the main event. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring up Tim Taylor. He's our partner presenter. So he's going to talk to you about his experience with our products. We'll kind of like leave the room so you can ask him any questions you want without us glaring at anyone. So Tim, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. All right, guys, thanks. Well, I am one of you guys. I am an MSP. Who's been an MSP for more than 10 years? More than 20 years? I'm in 19 right now. So I'm going to give you a little history of myself and why I work with Datto, why I work with Autotask. We were a ConnectWise partner for 8 years, and we recently converted to Autotask. I can explain to you why we did that. They're both excellent products, though. I do recommend both of them, but I like Autotask better, obviously. From Memphis, Tennessee originally. Grew up in the deep south, as they say, and moved to California right out of college. Met my wife in college, moved to California, worked for a big nonprofit out there. And I came in as a mainframe programmer in 1985. Whoever was a mainframe programmer? I bet you were at one point, right? Okay. Worked as a mainframe programmer, and the PC was just being invented. So I worked in this data processing department where we did payroll and donor processing and all that. And suddenly the president's office wanted a PC. And I said, oh, I know a little bit about them, so I'll set it up. Remember WordStar? I set up WordStar for them, and a dot matrix. They had a daisy wheel printer and a dot matrix printer. You print your drafts of your documents on the dot matrix, then when you were ready to print letter quality, you print on the daisy wheel. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. I set it up for them, and then another office wanted a PC. Then another office wanted a PC. And suddenly I became the microcomputer department. I couldn't get away from it. Within a year, I installed 50 machines. Of course, there was no networks. There was no internet, nothing like that. By the end of the second year, I installed 150 machines. It was just me. So I said, guys, I need some help. And they started assigning me staff. By the time the headquarters there moved to Florida in 1991, we had about 450 PCs. We were running Novell networks. We were actually a beta test site for Novell in the early days. Who's backed up a server onto a cassette tape before? Who's had to shut the server down to do that? You have to shut the server down. You can't back it up with a live. We had in California, where our headquarters was, we were in 16 different buildings spread over 7.5 miles. Every single one of those buildings had its own server and its own backup system. I go to work at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd hit like two different buildings per day, shut their servers down, back them up, bring them back up so it would be working when everybody came in. Lots of fun, lots of fun. So anyway, we moved the headquarters to Florida, and I was with an organization until 1997. A great organization, but it was a nonprofit, had a third child, and the salaries just weren't there. I just couldn't afford to basically work there anymore. And so I worked for a small IT company. Went from a large headquarters, had over 1,000 people, to me and the owner of a small IT company. That was it. And I did everything. I bought in all the new business. I installed machines. I did networks. I even did my own billing. And all I can remember about that year was the guys constantly told me I was doing a bad job. And I said, you know what? I can do this myself. So in 1999, I started out the trunk of my car by myself. Who started their own business out of the trunk of their car here? I'm sure some of us did, all right? 1999, I started my business out of the trunk of my car, and I said, you know what? It's either going to kill me or I'm going to make it. I'm not going to give up. I am going to make this thing work. So for the first 5 or 6 years, I worked 60, 70 hours a week, but everything was billed by the hour. So those paychecks were nice. They were really nice. I was making really good money because I had basically no overhead. But I eventually got to the point where I couldn't do it all myself. And so I started hiring people. By 2006, we were doing over $1 million in business annually, and I had about 7 or 8 employees. Today we have 15 employees, and so I'm not as big as some of your companies, but I'm probably bigger than some of them as well. We're maintaining about 2,000 machines right now in Central Florida. So we go anywhere from Daytona Beach to Tampa. I was a Zenith partner early on. Zenith was the Zenith BDRs. You installed those, I can tell. Zenith BDRs were I would say the forerunners to Datto's. They were decent backup systems. But the thing I liked about it was the same thing I liked about Datto. It was the only backup system that did everything. It gave you an image backup of your server, but yet you could do a file-by-file restore. You I also backed up everything in the cloud, but if your server crashed, you could boot off of it, and you could run it as your server. That, to me, was the most amazing part. Who's been in a server room over a weekend when the server crashed? You think it's hard drive crash, and it could be the hard drive controller. You order the hard drive controller, it shows up at 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. You're there on Saturday praying that this is the right thing. Because this is your biggest client, and they're all going to come back in on Monday morning, and if you don't have that server up, that's probably the last week you're going to work there. How many times has that happened to you? And then you suddenly hear about a product that you can virtualize onto, and it's running while you're repairing the server. I mean, that to me was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life. Who's worked in a server room over a weekend when suddenly they cut the air off on Saturday night?
Oh my goodness.
And it gets 110 degrees in the computer room. I've been there. Okay, I worked in the first time I ever virtualized onto a Zenith product, long before Datto. Zenith, their tech support was only chat support out of India. That was literally the only support you could get. And their English was not good. So, they're typing back and forth with me. I heard the air conditioning go off in the building about 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Suddenly the temperature just starts rising. I took my shirt off. After a little while, I had to take my t-shirt off. I was so hot, I couldn't breathe in there. But yet I'm chatting with this guy from India. But I got the server virtualized finally. So Monday morning they came in, it was working. We got the right parts eventually. We got the server back up. But when Datto came on the scene, well, Zenith went under. Unfortunately, Zenith, their company just didn't organize themselves well. They went under. And so I went to a conference a bit similar to this, but it was an actual, conference. And ran into a guy in the bathroom, and I said, I got to get away from Zenith, man. They're going under. And at one time, I was the largest Zenith, fastest growing Zenith dealer in the state of Florida. We were selling more of them than anybody else. And this guy says, what about Datto? Datto? I never heard of it. What is it? Datto, it's a great backup product, and they have all these different products. They have different lines of products that you can sell. And so I just gave them a call, and they said, we're helping out a lot of Zenith partners. Datto's an excellent product, so we started buying Datto, and I have not looked back. Absolutely not looked back. It is an excellent product. Saves my bacon several times a year. You'll have a server crash, at least once a year you're going to have a server crash with one of your clients. But what's the biggest thing Datto's used for today? Crypto infection, crypto locker infections. Okay, I got a call the other day from a lady that I know that does HIPAA analysis scans at doctor's offices, dentists and doctor practices. Okay, she called me up. This was not one of my clients. She said, "I've got this dentist out in Tavares, Florida, and his whole server's been crypto. They can't work. Can you come out there and take a look at it?" His IT guy, his one-man band IT company, the guy's on vacation, has no help. So I drive out there, and this guy has a huge dental practice. He had 20 computers in a dental practice, which is enormous, okay? And when I got there, his parking lot was full of cars. Completely, he had all these patients waiting to see him. And I walk in the office, and the lady leads me back to where the server is, and the poor doctor, he was an older guy, and he had a white jacket on, and he was as white as his jacket. I mean, he looked horrible. And he looked right at me. The first words he said was, "This is the closest I've ever felt in my whole life to having a heart attack." And I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "My whole server is locked up." And the hacker actually got through to my backup, which was a little external hard drive running Windows backup. And that was all encrypted as well. So he had absolutely no way to get back up, other than pay the ransom. But he didn't want to do that. It was $15,000. And I said, "Doc, how much money are you losing with all of these patients out here? You can't see them. You can't do anything." And he was in conversations with his insurance company, and eventually I think that he paid the ransom. He got back up after a couple of days. But when he was standing there, I go, "Well, don't you have a remote backup of some kind?" He goes, "No. My IT guy's been trying to sell me one, but I didn't want to spend $200 a month." How many times have we heard that? Hey, I'll tell you this, I do not set up a network, absolutely nowhere, without the Datto backup. I will not do it, I won't. Even if I have to raise their managed service rates to cover the cost of it, and I just put it in there myself. I even have 2 clients that I've actually just put it in there myself. Because who are they going to blame when it goes down and they don't have a good backup? You. I don't care how many times you told them they needed a better backup system, they needed this, that, and the other. You are the bad guy. Who's the bad guy when they get a crypto infection at 4 in the afternoon? And all they have is a Windows backup, and you say, oh, by the way, I can get you back up, but you're going to lose everything you did today. Everything. Who's the bad guy? You're the IT guy. How much better is it to say, you got a crypto infection at 4 o'clock, I can put you back the way you were at 3:30. In just a few minutes, I can put you back the way you were at 3:30. That's what we can say with the datto-talk. That's what I love about it, okay? Not going to say anything negative about ConnectWise. It's a great product. A lot of you probably use ConnectWise. We were with them for 8 years. I do happen to, my office is only an hour and a half from their headquarters, in their nice little recruiting environment, recruited away one of my employees, and then she tried to recruit another one. So I said, no guys, you're not going to do that. So anyway, I don't want that to get out there. There's a great company, it's a great organization, but we wanted to make a big change in our whole accounting, the way we were doing our accounting and that type of thing. And so when we started looking at what we really wanted to do, and I was running the in-house version of ConnectWise because we've had it for so long. I was not even in the cloud version. We wanted to go to the cloud version anyway, and when we were going to put all that effort into it, we started saying, you know what, let's just take a whole nother look at this thing. We loved Datto, and we made the decision to go with AutoTask. We literally signed the contract, I think it was October, it was the very end of October of last year. The very next week I heard that AutoTask and AutoTask and Datto were merging. And I did not make a decision based on that. I'd already made the decision, but that actually confirmed my decision, which was really great. And with all the networking products they have, I just love working in one environment. You know what I mean? I'll admit I don't have a lot of their networking products today, but we're definitely starting to take. We have a lot of Sonic Wall firewalls out there. I've got to make a change if I'm going to go to this type of product. But we also have hurricanes. Who lives in Florida? Who lives in an area where they have hurricanes? Who lives in an area where they have tornadoes? Everybody has something. Hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, something. Their internet goes out. Can they work at all when their internet goes out? No. We have hurricanes all the time in Florida, and it's much more common for your internet to go out than your power or anything else. So I got a call from a doctor's office, our internet's out. You know, the pole down the street got hit. Bright House, Spectrum now, who's our provider down there, is going to tells me it's going to be 4 or 5 days before they can get over there. I can't do anything. If they had this DNA appliance, the firewalls, that was what we call DNA, basically with the cellular data in it, that fires up automatically, and they're back up. My cell phone still worked out there, but their internet connection was out. Finally, this poor lady that ran this, it was a pharmacy, she finally called her cousin, whose best friend worked for Spectrum, and he came out there and got them going himself. I don't know how he did it, but he got them going. But that's a great product with the backup of the cellular. Okay, so.
And not to steal your thunder there, Tim, in these major disasters, we actually have a team that we sent down into Texas and in Florida,
right,
and set up mobile offices with DNAs and with all of our gear so that people could actually get back online.
Yeah.
Very proactive approach. We
Yeah.
love that team.
Absolutely. And I know you guys were a big help in Houston after the flood.
That's right.
And working at Red Cross there to get them up. And so that was excellent. But well, one of the things I want to tell you about too is in 1999 when I started my company, I looked for a book, How to Start and Run a Successful IT Company. And I couldn't find it. And I thought somebody's bound to have written this book. So I looked and it wasn't out there. There are people that have done managed service consulting like Gary Vee, things like that, but no one ever written a book about it. How do you actually do this? And we were basically making things up as we went along. So I had the idea around 2010 that I was going to write a book, and then finally in 2015, I actually wrote How to Start and Run a Successful IT Company. Okay, it's up on Amazon now. I sell these all over the world, and this is basically, most of you have your IT company running already. So about half of this book is really how do you start one, how do you start your own company. But the second half is really how do you sell managed services? How do you go from break fix to managed services? How do you write a good contract? How do you hire the right employees? How do you do everything there is to know about running a managed service practice, okay? Believe me, I've made every mistake you can make. If you can make it, I made it. And yet I made it. Okay, I have a $2 million company, and we've learned from our mistakes. One thing about me is I learn from my mistakes. Okay, I don't usually make a mistake twice. I had 2 young guys that worked for me, trained them from scratch. Who's been in this situation? Trained them from scratch, great young guys, and they walk in one day and say, we're starting our own IT company. They ended up taking eight of my best clients away.
Wow.
You know how long they survived in business? About 18 months after I sued them. But the mistake I made was I didn't sue them quick enough. And they only survived in business for about 3 years. But did I get any of those clients back? To date, I have only gotten one of those clients back. All right, so you know why that happened? I didn't have a good contract. And I didn't explain to them what would happen if they did that. So this is one of the problems. This is one of the mistakes that I made that I hope you don't make. I actually, just to let you guys know, I'm not here to sell a book or my consulting services, but just to mention it, I actually started a consulting practice where I work with managed service providers to help them grow their practice. And a lot of them I work with a lot of guys who are just starting out. They're literally just starting out trucking their car just like I did. And I help them decide on their PSA, I help them decide on their backup systems, and all the things that you have to have, their contracts, things like that, to get their practice off the ground. So if I can help your business out, I'd be happy to do that. I do have about 10 copies of this here today. If you'd like a copy, just give me your business card. I'll send you an invoice. And I do have about 10 copies of it here, so if you want one. But you can also go on Amazon and get it very easy. It's also on Kindle. Okay? So again, I've tried everything in this business. I've done everything in this business. I have moved from break fix to managed services. I had a great break fix practice. I mean, tons of money and almost no overhead. All my employees work from home, or they would get out of bed in the morning and they'd go to their first job and then they'd work, whatever, take a go back home. We didn't need an office, okay? And then I had the brilliant idea of starting a web design company because I wanted to be everything to my clients. I wanted to do absolutely everything for them. My slogan was everything IT. I even hired a SQL programmer. We did custom programming. We did web design. We did all of that. So we would take on almost any project. I hired this young lady. She was really sweet, but she wasn't very good at what she did. But she told me she could get all these projects, and so we took on some huge programming projects. And they would go about 6 or 9 months, and then it would just always end in disaster. And then she was always ready to do another one, ready to do another one. At one time we were hosting, over 150 websites. We were also hosting all of our clients' email. This was before Office 365, when nobody was hosting email in the cloud. So we set up our own big Exchange server, and we were hosting everybody's email. And we were hosting 600 or 800 email accounts. We had a Zenith backup system. Guess what happened one weekend? Bang, there goes the Exchange server. You ever got 600 phone calls all the same time? These aren't phone calls. These are irate phone calls. Right then, I just went, that's going to be a great chapter in that book. Now, not to provide this type of service. You can't replicate what other people are doing. We got it back up finally. What actually ended up happening was we didn't end up booting off of the Zenith. We realized about half of the information stores did not go down. Somehow we got a corruption on a drive, I guess, and half the information was corrupted, half of them weren't. But we didn't realize this until about 12 hours in. So all the ones that were not corrupt were continuing to receive emails. So had we tried to go back and virtualize, they would have lost all that had come in. So half of them we had to rebuild and get them back up, and the other half kept working. So not a mistake I'll make again. We moved all those people to 365 now, so we don't have to worry about that. We actually still have that server. We had 2 customers on it, and they don't want to move to 365 because they don't want to pay for it. Somehow, at that time, years ago, when I set it up, and I included it in our managed services, and they don't want to now pay for it. So, but I told them by the end of the year, I'm shutting that server down, so we have to go somewhere. So, again, I've done everything in what you guys are doing. I love this company, love Datto. They do great work, and they have great products. But I'd like to open it up for questions. You guys have any questions? Anything about managed service contracts? Yes, sir.
So I know you talked about helping companies start up. What about us MSPs that have been around for a while and looking for an exit strategy?
Exit strategy, okay. Well, the biggest thing I would say on that is your contracts, okay? Your exit strategy, by exit strategy, I would assume you mean selling the business one day, right? Well, the value of the business is going to be based almost solely, if people come to look at your company, they're going to look at your contracts. What are your managed service contracts with your customers? How long are they, and what are you charging? That is where the value of your business is. That's in the black and white. You're charging an X amount for managed services for X amount of time, X amount of years, and that's where the value comes in. So I would really look at your contracts, make sure you have everybody on what we call full managed services. We charge a flat rate per machine, and we offer, everything that we offer. we even offer not just remote support, we offer on-site support as well. I don't charge hourly to send one of my guys on site. I learned early on in this business, now some of you do that, some people I know that are very profitable doing that. They train their clients. We can do 85 to 90% of our tickets remotely. When we have to send a technician on site, we are going to charge you for that. But what makes a businessman madder than anything is when he's paying you $3,000 a month and then he gets a bill over here for $1,200. Why did I get a bill for $1,200 when I'm paying you $3,000? Well, you know, Fred, my technician, had to come on site. Well, why couldn't Fred fix it remotely? Because he couldn't. So then you have this fight with the guy about why he got a bill. Why not circumvent that? Charge them enough for your managed services that you're covering everything. But make sure you have a good contract that covers everything that you do, everything you're going to do for them, and lays out your prices and lasts for 3 years. So if you go to sell your business and you've got a whole bunch of contracts that get 2 more years on them, then that's going to make you much more valuable to the people buying your business, because that gives them 2 years to get basically, because they're in contract, okay? And that gives them 2 years to basically mold them into their system. So that's the biggest thing that I would say as far as an exit strategy. Any other questions? Anything about data or managed service contracts? Selling managed services, okay, that's where most people stumble. The young guys I work with, the people just starting out, they're great technicians. The hardest thing for them is selling themselves and selling managed services, okay? And so that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn, was how I was a good salesman, but selling managed services was a whole other ballgame. And I tell people this, I said, listen, I can come in here and charge you break fix, okay? If that's what you really, really want, I can do that, okay? But I have no motivation for your network to run really, really well. Because guess what? The more problems you have is the more money I make. Because every time you see me, the meter is running, okay? So in break fix world, I make more money the more problems that you have. Guess what happens in the managed services world? It completely flips. Now I make more money the less problems that you have. So what do you think I'm motivated for? I'm motivated for the same thing you are. You want your network to run all the time without problems. That's what I'm motivated for. I'm going to put the right tools, the right processes in place where your network's going to run all the time. I want you to forget I exist. In fact, I'm going to send a guy on site once a month to do a monthly health check. And we do monthly health checks on site. We print out the health report that comes out of the data RMM. And I have my guys go on site and we have a sheet that they check. We did this and we did this and we did this and we did all these things on your network for your server, for your workstations, your backup system. And the customer signs it every month. So he's remembering why he's paying you all this money to maintain his network. These are all the things you're doing for him that he doesn't always see. And then the report actually has a breakdown of all of his workstations and patch management, everything on the workstations. And then that might be the only time you actually have to come on site every month. But I think that's extremely critical that if you are a managed service provider, that you do go on site and do that monthly health check. A lot of people don't do it, but we always do it. Now we have some small clients, I would say 10 or 11 machines that we are not going to come on site every month. We'll email it to them, we might come on site once a quarter. Okay, but your larger clients that pay you the real money, that you put all the effort in to make sure their network works, and that manager's writing that check every month, but people are calling for help desk calls periodically, but he doesn't see all that. All he sees is he keeps writing you that check. And then you don't want to be a line item. You want to be a partner in his company, okay? And so you're going to come in and you're going to make him writing the check. Go as high up in the company as you can and get that person to sign off on that report every month that you provided all these services for them. So that really brings the value of what you do. And try to really, yes sir?
If you're a heavily employed tech company, who would you suggest or how would you suggest to really target sales?
Okay, so your question is the owners of the company are technicians and you don't really like selling, so what's the best way to sell?
Right.
Is that right? You know, I have this philosophy that people believe technicians can't sell, but I absolutely positively don't believe that. Because you can sell anything that you're passionate about. If you're passionate about it, you can sell it. Technicians are passionate about what? Technology, right? That's what they're passionate about, all right? And you go in and it comes down to a trust factor. They look you in the eye, and they trust the fact that you are going to provide the services that you say you're going to provide. And when you have done it as a person, when you've done it and you look them in the eye and go, yes, this backup works. Yes, we are going to maintain your network. We're doing another one down the street that's twice your size. When they see in you that you believe that you're going to do that, a salesman that doesn't know how to do it has a harder time saying that. He can say it, but he has a harder time having the passion for it. Okay? The best salesman I ever had was not a guy like me, a gregarious guy. He was almost, a very quiet technician. But his sales process was so exact. He did everything right every single time, and he sold the most number of contracts anybody that's ever worked with. So I don't believe the technicians can't sell it. I absolutely don't believe that. It really is just having the right making the right pitch at the right time to the right customer at the right price, and there's really no reason for them not to buy from you. Okay, so that is one of the things I do help people with at my consulting practice. Yes, sir.
Question, you have some clients that, they tell you that, I don't want nobody but you. And you
Right.
send somebody else out there and they just totally disrespect them. So, how do you take care of that?
Well, when you're a small company, yes, that's right. They only want you. I get that, okay? I would say take your guy with you and have him the first few times and have him see that you're working together. And say, he's my guy, I trust him, okay? And you gotta build that trust up. And you gotta make sure the guy's good, though. I mean, he's gotta be good, but you train him, so he should be good. But people will ask you that when you're a small company there. And if you can't clone yourself, you absolutely can't be in two places at once. We take clients away all the time from guys that the one-man shows, okay? Because usually what happens is I go in, I find them and I try to go make a presentation to them. I said, even if you're already happy with your guy, let me just do a presentation so you know what we do in case your guy ever can't make it. And inevitably, within a year, they're gonna call me. The guy's on vacation, server's down, we can't do anything, can you come out? Okay, and then we come out, we save the day, and we end up getting them as a client. That happens all the time. And I was that guy. I worked out of the trunk of my car. I mean, for several years, I was the only guy. And I worked many, many hours. But if you want to grow your company, you can't design it like that where it stays like that. You've got to start developing employees and some of these tools. I mean, having a good PSA where they put a ticket in, the ticket system responds to them. That helps them see that it's not just you. There's something going on back there. There's processes and things going on. So just having a ticketing system is starting the professional look of your small company. Okay, as opposed to you just calling you or sending you an email and you reply with your email. Okay, so it's a hurdle you have to get over, but you can get over it. It's not impossible. All right, yes, sir.
So in our conversations yesterday, I wanted you to talk about some wins that you had where I think the hardest time to sell a data appliance is where people have not experienced downtime and
Right.
also overcoming objections that it's too expensive. Can you share some stories about how
Yeah,
you've actually won?
absolutely. Well, one of the things I tell people, I said, listen, the guy, they'll say, I've never had downtime, I don't have downtime. I said, you know what, we've never had an earthquake here either. That doesn't mean we're never going to have one. And one of the first things I say too is we don't live in the same world we lived in 5 years ago. We absolutely do not, okay? Your server may not crash, and hardware is a lot more reliable than it used to be. It absolutely is. But guess what? Crypto infections, they just turn on the news. It's getting worse and worse and worse. The city of Atlanta, the entire city government was held ransom recently. They were writing out police reports on paper. I mean, the entire government structure of the city of Atlanta was just recently hosed out. So I try extremely hard not to make it an option. I really don't make it an option. I said, listen, we have to have this. We have to have something that I can restore you quickly. And I think one of the great things Datto has is the downtime calculator. Okay, it's online. If you haven't used that yet, definitely take a look at it. Go online and you can actually, all right, how many employees do you have? Let's just see how much it's going to cost you to be down for half a day. All right, you got 20 employees. All right, 20 employees, $20 an hour, $30 an hour, $30 an hour, 20 employees. Okay, now suddenly they can't do anything for 4 hours. What does that cost you? That costs you 4, 5, or 6 times what Datto is going to cost you per month. All right, is it worth it? When you start saying, I'm really not going to do this without it, I think that's, it starts getting their attention. But also just the whole crypto thing and these outside interventions that are coming into networks. And pretty soon, some of these things are going to be fileless attacks. You're not going to have to click on an attachment to infect your network. There's things out there right now that people are trying to mine Bitcoins, so they're putting stuff on your system that's something you see all your CPU processes go up on your servers and a bunch of your workstations, and it just stays there. Well, they're running all these little things in the background. They're running algorithms using your CPU. They don't have supercomputers that can mine Bitcoins. They're using 100,000 CPUs to do all these algorithms to mine your own Bitcoins. So things like that are happening all the time. So I think the biggest thing is just telling them that the world's different, but just because you've never had knowledge doesn't mean that you're not going to have one. And and then tell some stories of how you saved some people's businesses when they did have a crash. And in Florida, Orlando, Florida is the lightning capital of not the United States, but the world. We have more lightning in Orlando, Florida than anywhere in the world. And why they built the Space Center right there, I have no idea. But they have so much weather stuff around it. If there's even a hint of lightning, they don't launch those rockets. But I tell people all the time, it really gets traction where I am. Say, listen, everything can be perfect in here. You get one lightning strike, and bang, you are completely down. And it can take out just your server. I've seen that happen before. And we use a local manufacturer. I don't buy from Dell and HP and all these other companies. I actually have a local guy who builds our servers and our workstations for us. And he puts our logo on it. So we have our own brand. And is that a...
We do that.
Somebody else doing that too?
We do that here.
All right, perfect. So basically, the great thing about that is that the manufacturer of my servers and workstations is right down the street. So if they get hit by lightning, I had a guy who was actually hit by lightning. Okay? Basically, we took the server out. We took it straight to the manufacturer. The only thing that wasn't destroyed was the hard drives. Luckily, that was the only thing that wasn't destroyed. He built another server around it. In 4 hours, I had a brand new server sitting back in there with the same drives in there. You can't. I don't care what Dell or HP tells you. They absolutely cannot provide that kind of service. And with our logo on all these products, it's a lot harder for them to move away. One of the big things you learn in managed services is make your clients sticky. Make it hard for them to move away from you. You're not going to hold them ransom. But, I give them a 3-year on-site warranty. Anything I sell, I cover the monitor, I cover the mouse, I cover the keyboard. You know how many monitors and mice and keyboard I have to replace a year? 1 or 2, maybe. But when they hear that, they go, oh my God, you're going to cover all of that? Give them a warranty for their laptop. If you drop it and break it, I'll fix the screen for you. You think they'll buy that one from you? Absolutely. Now, I don't have my own brand of laptops. I buy Lenovo's, but I buy them from the same guy that I buy all my hardware from. So it's a great idea. It really links. Whenever you walk into their office, you see your logo on all their equipment. And then Joe Tech walks in off the street and he's $10 a month cheaper. They go, yeah, but we got all these warranties with TaylorWorks. We got all this with TaylorWorks. So that makes them sticky, makes them want to stay. So anyway. All right, guys, you've been a great audience. Thank you so much.
Okay, so now we're on the home stretch for those of you that are eyeing the exits furtively.